Welcome back to the Billet Corner. In today's episode, I'll be testing the most popular tips that you guys requested. The tips I'll be testing today will be the Kamui Black, Kamui Brown, Thoroughbred, and the new Kadon Fighter tips. These tips are some of the most popular tips on the market today, and also some of my favorites as well. If you guys want me to test a different brand of tip, post in the comments below and I might use it in a future video. Before we get to testing, let's talk about the history of tips. Tips have evolved a lot over the years. Back when I first started playing pool, there weren't many options to choose from. You had your choice of the Triangle, La Pro, Water Buffalo, or an Elkmaster tip. Now these tips were a single piece of leather and were actually pretty good. However, out of the box of 50, you might only get 5, maybe 10 good ones if you're lucky. Most of these tips were not very consistent and would vary in hardness, sound, and playability. Now some people even tried to modify these tips by either pressing them or even soaking them in milk in an attempt to get them to be more consistent and play better. The next generation of tips were layered tips. Instead of the tip being a single piece of leather, these tips are made up of multiple layers of leather. By having multiple layers, it allowed the manufacturer to control the consistency and quality of each tip. This gave birth to better hardness ratings where you could choose whether you want a soft, medium, and hard. It also bumped the price of these tips being from $1 to $10 and even $25 a tip, which stirred a lot of controversy back in the day. Nowadays, paying $25 or more for a tip is the norm and in my opinion, worth it as you get better consistency and playability. One of the most famous layered tips were the old original Mori tips. Now the old original Mori tips were made in Japan, really high quality, and played really great. Now I'm not entirely sure what happened, but over the years the quality started to really go down and they just weren't the same anymore. I even have friends who would source the old original Mori tips that are new old stock for sometimes $75 or even $100 a tip because they love them so much and you can't get them anymore. The good news is there has been a lot, and I mean a lot of companies producing tips now. Nowadays it almost seems like we have too many options. Being a really big Q enthusiast or addict, as some would say, I've tested almost every single tip on the market. Whenever I get a new tip put on, I adjust the tip by 7 criteria. How the tip hits and sounds, how much the tip mushrooms, how consistent the tips are, how much feedback I get from the tip, does the tip glaze easily, and finally the elasticity of the tip. Let's go and test the Kamui Black tip. The Kamui Black tip is probably the most popular tip on the market. The Kamui Black hits and sounds lightly crispy with a solid elastic type of hit. The tip plays a bit harder, so I generally use the Kamui Black Soft as plays like a medium. I generally don't experience any mushrooming unless it's from a Kamui Super Soft. The consistency of the tips are generally really good without much variation from batches. You do have to be careful as there are a lot of fake Kamui tips on the market and those are not the same. They'll mushroom and delaminate and they just don't play the same. One of the main features of this tip is how elastic the tip is. The Kamui Black is probably one of the most elastic tips on the market. The elasticity allows you to spin the cue ball easier and gives a really good bouncy feeling when you strike the cue ball. The feel and feedback that I get from the tip is really good. One of the main downsides of the Kamui Black is that it tends to glaze over after extended play. If you guys don't know what glazing is when the tip develops a shiny glaze at the tip, which prevents chalk adhesion. Once the tip starts to glaze, even scuffing the tip only remedies the issue for a short period of time before you have to scuff it again. This can be annoying as you have to scuff the tip more frequently and can lead to more miscues. The tip costs around $25 to $30 a tip, which is quite expensive. However, Kamui has been known for the high quality and I feel like it's well worth it for the consistency. I would recommend this tip for those who are looking for more spin and want an elastic, semi-crispy type of hit. This is the Kamui Brown tip. The Kamui Brown feels more traditional and is not as elastic as the Kamui Black. This means it doesn't spin the cue ball as easily but offers more control. The hit is much less crispy when compared to Kamui Black, but still very solid when you strike the cue ball. The sound it makes is also slightly deeper in tone. Again, I didn't experience any mushrooming unless it's from a Kamui Super Soft. Similar to the Kamui Blacks, the tips play a bit harder than the rating suggests, so I generally will use a Kamui Brown Soft as it plays like a medium. The feel and feedback that I get from this tip is also very good, but I tend to like the Kamui Blacks just a little bit more. The Kamui Blacks are more reactive because the tip has more elasticity, giving the feeling of better feedback. However, the Kamui Browns do seem to have less issues with glazing quickly, which can lead to extended tip life. The tip costs around $25 to $30 a tip, just like the Kamui Blacks. Overall, I think the Kamui Browns are really good if you're looking for a hit that isn't as crispy, with deeper tonal qualities, and more traditional in feel. The tip focuses more on control rather than spin. This is a Thoroughbred tip, and it's one of my favorites on the market today. The Thoroughbred tip hits extra crispy and sounds really good when striking the cue ball. Honestly, the hit and sound is what makes me really love it. The tip isn't as elastic as the Kamui Blacks and offers a more balanced traditional hit and feel. The feel and feedback that I get from the tip is on par with the Kamui Blacks and feels really good. What's really nice about the Thoroughbred tips is that they offer a more precise hardness rating. This means you can get the tip in very soft, medium, medium hard, and hard. This means you could really dial in exactly what kind of tip you want, which is really cool and not offered by other tip manufacturers. I would say the hardness ratings are very accurate and play true to the ratings. I personally really like the soft medium as it offers really good balance between spin and control. The consistency of the tips have been really good for me. Each individual layer is very even, just like Kamui tips, and feel really high quality. The tip also doesn't glaze over, which gives the tip a longer lifespan, unlike the Kamuis. Now, I will say one thing that I did notice was that the tips and softer hardness ratings will tend to mushroom a little bit. However, once you trim off the mushrooming, the tip will hold its shape for the remainder of its life. What's really nice about the tips is that they only cost around $10 and it's really affordable. I would recommend this tip for people looking for an extra crispy hit with great traditional feel and feedback at an affordable price. The Kaden Fighter tip is a new tip that just came out and was developed in Taiwan. The tips themselves are made in Japan and consist of 10 thin layers of treated pigskin leather. I will say the tip combines the qualities of the Kamui Blacks, Browns, and Thoroughbreds. The hit has the deeper tonal qualities like the Kamui Browns, but has the elasticity of the Kamui Blacks. The tip also hits crispier than Kamui Blacks, but I will say it's a notch below the Thoroughbreds. What's really unique about these tips is that Kaden is achieving all these qualities with what they're calling their R2B technology. Like I mentioned earlier, the tip uses 10 thin layers of leather. However, the bottom 2 layers are special and are called the resonance layer, hence the name R2. These 2 layers are chosen specifically for their tonal qualities and are placed closest to the ferrule because that's where the majority of where the initial sound comes from. This is probably what gives that extra crispiness that I'm hearing. Now the third layer is the B layer, which stands for booster. The booster layer allows the other layers to compress less due to the booster layer adding more power. This leads to the elastic feeling that I'm getting when using this tip. The tip also has a mesh texture on the bottom to allow for better glue adhesion between the tip and ferrule during installation. This is pretty cool and shows that Kaden is even thinking about the installer when creating this tip. Now the tip does cost around $30, which is on the higher end, but the technology and quality is top notch. The tips have been very consistent throughout and I haven't seen any mushrooming or glazing at all. Overall, I would say this tip is very unique and has a lot of thought and technology put into this tip. I would recommend this tip if you're looking for the newest tech and innovation. The tip offers a deep, crispy hit while still having that elastic feel. This is probably one of my most favorite new tips. Kaden also sells other pool accessories which all feel really high quality and premium. Along with their fighter tips, they also have their Kaden Liquid Shine, which helps seal the tip and extend the life and resist mushrooming. The liquid apparently is specially formulated to not penetrate the leather and only dries on the top as not to harden the tip and affect the hit. Once you put on the Liquid Shine, you can use their soft leather burnishing pad to seal it. This is a really cool product and can be used on any tip. On a side note, they also have this very cool measurement tool that can be useful when installing tips, and they also have their Kaden Magic Fiber Cloth. The cloth is specially designed to remove all the oils and dirt from the shafts and actually works really well and better than any microfiber that I've used. At the end of the day, the tip you choose is all about your preferences. There's no tip on the market that's magically going to make you play better. Cues and equipment have gotten so good, we're chasing very precise and small differences between products. This is the law of diminishing returns. I'm just happy that we have so many options to choose from now. Each tip has its own unique qualities, and I try to highlight those for you so you can make a better decision the next time you put on a new tip. Alright, that's all I got for you guys today. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and hit the sub button below if you guys want to see more free pool content in the future. If you guys want me to test more tips for you guys, post the one you want me to test in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys next time.